Welcome to Respawning Fire, the kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast where three lifelong friends gather to talk about video games. I'm Holden Christopher Adams DePardo. I'm here with...
Chad Michaelinis.
And you're you, and that's why we love you. We have a fuck ton of stuff to talk about this week. There's a lot. There's financial shit out the wazoo. Everyone's got the monies to talk about. Very exciting stuff. We're talking about coronavirus a little bit, talking about more Resident Evil 8 rumors, and Chad's favorite. We're going to discuss Animal Crossing for just like a little bit.
Oh, you know, I'll take Animal Crossing over the Atari VCS any day.
Well, we're talking about Atari as well.
But not the VCS. If it comes up, then I'm killing you.
Thank God we're not in the same room right now. Anyway, Chad, before we get to all of that fun stuff, what have you been playing this week?
Holden, thank you for asking. You're so kind. Has anyone ever bought you a cookie?
Never.
I'm going to buy you a cookie
not
one day.
Once.
I played 4 things this week. Oh, I just put my cold hand on my warm body. Oh, I played starting out with Firewall 0 Hour. This was our game night game this week. If you are a patron at patreon.com/respawnaimfire, you can donate $1. It's not a donation. It's a pledge. It's a pledge. You can pledge $1 or more and play along with us on game nights each week. This one
I wish I could have played with you guys. I don't have VR, nor like a place to really play VR. Like, it wouldn't work for me. But I'm really curious about this one. How was it?
Oh, we had a blast. So it was 4 of us. It was Matt, Dallas, myself, and Joel. And we ended up playing it the week before it went free on PlayStation Plus because I tweeted Dallas about it, and then he responded, was like, oh, yeah, I already have it. And then Matt's like, I also already have it. And Joel's like, I also already have it. And I was like, let's play! So it was just us 4. Hopefully the next time we play, we'll have more people. Like Alex wanted to play in, but he's like, hey, it's going to be free next week. I'm going to wait. I'm like, that's cool. So we played. It is Rainbow Six Siege just in VR. It is really, really cool. I think all of us had a PlayStation aim controller. You can play with the aim controller, which is like the gun, or you could play with the DualShock. And they say in the tips section of the game, like they've balanced it so that no matter what you're playing with, the control is equal. But it's a really dope game. There are so many really cool things that, like in Rainbow Six Siege, like you have the peek mechanic where you can hold aim and then kind of peek by hitting the things.
Yeah.
Dallas is like,
you can just do it naturally,
right? Dallas asks, "Hey, is there a how do I like peek around a corner?" And it's like, move your body. You just gotta literally peek your head around the corner. It's so cool.
I found that a lot while doing VR demos, where like people would ask questions like that because they're used to in games having to do something, but it's like no. This is like all natural.
Oh, all natural, like them smelly people who use crystals instead of deodorant.
They just rub crystals on their body.
They do. That's a thing. That's a thing.
I'm not surprised.
And I'm not judging. But yeah, we had a blast. It was so much fun. Every single round is just hack a computer. There's attackers and defenders. Sirens are on my end. You have to go in, hack the computer, and then keep it hacked for like 60 seconds or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But essentially,
that
like most Rainbow
exactly
Six
like Siege.
Yeah, essentially just like Rainbow Six Siege, it just turns into a deathmatch. And then occasionally someone might actually get to hacking the computer. We played maybe a good 5 or 6 games in a row just getting slaughtered. Not a single win. We were like really upset because you can't upgrade your weapons, you can't upgrade your operator and add extra skills and stuff like that until you're level 4. But you have to play it in order to get level 4. And then we were just against a group that I guess was so familiar with the game and they knew all the maps. There's when you start as an attacking group, you have to like locate the laptop. In Siege, you do that by like running cameras everywhere. In Firewall 0 Hour, you do that by finding one of 2 outlets somewhere on the map where you can hack into it and it will read the network and find out where the computer is. And they would always, like, the round would start, and within, like, 10 seconds, like, they've located the computer. I'm like, fuck, they knew exactly where those outlets were going to be. And we were just getting slaughtered. And it got to the point where it was like, all right, guys, 3 games. We play 3 rounds. If we don't win a single one, let's quit and play Siege. And everyone was like, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, so Dallas had texted me, and he's like, hey, I don't know how VR shooter's going to be. If I get nauseous, are you going to be around to play Siege still tonight? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Just let me know. We'll play some Siege. And I get a text from him saying, hey, so we've lost like every single round. I think we're going to stop. We're going to do one more, but basically just get ready to play Siege. And I was waiting, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go to bed. And I guess you guys had just started winning nonstop.
We did. There was one, the first round, we were in like this really sandy desert storm type area, and Joel took out every single bad guy by himself. All of us were dead, and he was just running there. God. There's a video posted that we retweeted on our Twitter.
He's no longer Brendan Fraser. He's Rambo.
Now he's Rambo, right? It was freaking great. We were like, yeah, we won. And then we just kept playing from there and won round after round after round after. I think we literally won like 5 of them straight. I had a round where I killed every single person on there, got a trophy for it. Ooh. But it's a ton of fun. And the novelty of it being in VR is something that just like I was constantly just like giggling. Oh, that's so cool! Or planting a motion sensor, or throwing a grenade, or shit like that. Like stabbing a guy like in VR is so fun. I love pretending to kill people. But it's really...
Remember when you got mad at me for saying I wanted to play Hitman in VR? You're like, that's murder. And now you're saying, I just can't wait to stab someone in VR. It was so much fun.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really cool to be able to, especially using the aim controller to like lift your gun up, and then you've got to like angle it and tilt it just the right way in order to line up the sights and the laser on the sight, and then just peeking around and jump back. You can literally like crouch in real life, or there is a crouch button, but I didn't discover that until halfway through. But I was just crouching in real life to hide behind stuff. It was a really dope game. We had a blast. As now that it's free to play for the month of February for PlayStation Plus, I'm sure next time we play, there's gonna be a bunch of noobs on there. We're just gonna sweep the floor with them. It's gonna be fun.
So, and I'm sorry if you already brought this up and I just like missed it. I had asked Matt about his experience with this, and I wanted to hear your experience as well. One, just without playing it, just one concern I would have about hearing about a VR online shooter is lag, because lag could have a huge impact on you feeling nauseous and uncomfortable. Matt said it wasn't a problem. Did you have the same, totally fine? At all. Props to those developers. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Because that really could have ruined the experience. And lag is something that happens in online shooters. It's good for them.
Yeah.
Good work.
I played 3 other things. One I'll mention real quick. There's a new free song pack for Beat Saber from an EDM. You might know this person, an EDM artist named Camellia.
Nope, never heard of them.
Apparently they're like this really
I
big
listen
artist.
to a lot of really obscure house music though. I literally just go off of suggestions of already obscure house producers. So
Gotcha.
I don't even really know who the big players are.
Gotcha. The hardest songs to date in Beat Saber. I always start every single new song, every time they release something new, I say, all right, I'm going to go in there, I'm just going to play it on expert once and just finish it. That's my goal, is always just finish it. If I get an A or an S rank, great, which I usually do. And I go in and start the song, 30 seconds in, fail. 30 seconds in, fail. I'm like, all right, I'll just go to the next one. 30 seconds in, fail. Every single song is like, holy shit, these are the fastest songs. There are so many notes. And so it's like, okay, maybe I'll just play it on hard at faster speed. That way there are fewer notes, but it still had the challenge of being... And it was failing one after another on that as well. I was like, damn it. But it's also some of the funnest... there's a song called Ghost on there that kind of sounds like this really dope cathedral Castlevania type. There's an organ playing. It sounds like Castlevania, something you would hear in that. And I was like, this is a fucking cool song. So playing through that, I ended up playing on hard, just regular, and beat all the songs. And then I was like, all right, what if I play on...
You beat them, though. You didn't just, get a high rank. You only beat it?
Hard, regular, S rank on all the songs.
Good.
But hard is literally, baby difficulty for me. If I play something on hard, it's because I'm showing somebody how to play the game.
This is a job interview. Brag. Boast about yourself.
I was like, what if I play it on expert, but reduce do the slower speed? Because you can do that with just take a hit to your score. Nope. And I was like, I'm going to do that Ghost song because I like the song. I'm into it. And so even if I fail, I'm still having fun. And I get 4 minutes into this 6 minute and 10-second song, which now on slow is actually 8 minutes or 9 minutes or something like that. And that's what I really wanted to bring this up, because it has that Dark Souls risk reward to it, where I'm I'm on expert, I'm on slow song, and I can get through 7 minutes of this now 9-minute song, and I'm like, oh shit, I've come so far, and if I mess up now, then I have to go back and do all these 7 minutes again. So you, for the last little bit of that song, you're just like, oh god, don't mess up. Fuck, I missed a note. Fuck, no. And then, so it has that amazing, like, after you finally beat something, it's just like, feels so good. Get a little bit of a heart erection like we were doing in the raids in Destiny. It was great.
Uppercase penises.
Yes, uppercase penises. 2 more things. One, Pokemon Go. They added a new battle league this week, which is a revamp to the whole battle system. And now there's this thing where you can just, at any time, you can randomly battle anyone across, like random people across the world in battle leagues, and you do it in sets of 5. And of those 5 battles, the number of battles that you win within that 5 grants you increasingly better rewards. So if you just win one of the 5 matches, you get like a couple berries. But if you win all 5 matches, you might get rare candies. So it's like, oh, that's a really cool little system. And you no longer have to be like right next to somebody in real life to battle them. So I found myself getting slowly addicted to this thing because they have regular basic that you can do 5 times, and they have a premium version that, like, if you have what were before known as premium raid passes. I didn't ever fucking use those, and I just kept accumulating. I had like 30 of them. They're now battle passes, and you can use them once for a 5-round thing. And what I love about it is that for the first time in Pokemon Go, I feel like there's so much strategy involved in battling Pokemon. Before, it was just like, you pick a couple of your strongest Pokemon and just tap on the screen forever, maybe swipe to dodge an attack. And now it's like, oh fuck, there are articles on articles on like the best Pokemon. Part of it is that right now you can only battle in Great League, which means only Pokemon who are 1500 CP or lower. So you can't use your best people. You have to use middle of the road people, and if they're too strong, they can't fight. Mm-hmm. So there are like, right now there are so many articles out there like the best mediocre Pokemon to use, and you're like, all right, so everyone's going to use Skarmory, and then you got to counter that with somebody. So it is such a cool, like, and then figuring out when do I use my shield, because you get 2 shields that will basically null any of their charge attacks. And it is so satisfying and like mentally stimulating to sit there and fight rather than what used to be just tap, 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 tap. So I've gotten up to fight, and part of the rewards is if you defeat enough people, you get the chance to catch Pokemon who are not normally found around the area. Some of them I've never even seen before, or might be exclusive to just battle arenas. So it's like, that's cool to have those encounters that are...
What do you mean, like, just to clarify, do you mean like I think Mr. Mime is only in Europe and like...
No, not like that. But like just Pokemon that are kind of hard to find maybe in your area.
Okay,
like they're
just generally hard to find, but still in your region.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been having a blast with that. I woke up this morning and got up at about 8:30. And then after battling a lot, it was about 9:45, and I was like, fuck, did I just play Pokemon Go for almost an hour in my bed? It was surprising.
I believe it.
But what's also cool about it is that...
You love that game.
I do. It's great. What's also cool about it is that you can't just battle endlessly. Even the basic, like, you don't need a raid pass or a battle pass to play it. You can only battle once, and then you have to walk 5 kilometers in order to battle again. So it's like you have to get out and walk around. After you've walked 2 kilometers, you can spend some coins in order to get the other 3 out of the way. But yeah, so that was a really cool mechanic that kind of like keeps you from doing too much. It's great.
Yeah. Cool stuff.
Having a blast. And then finally, last game, because I know we have a lot of news stories to get to today.
Speaking of finally.
I know, right? I finally got to the Surge 2. And I've put about 5 or 6 hours into it now. And, ooh, it scratches that Dark Souls itch. Oh, yeah. I feel like a crack addict who's just picking at his wounds on his elbow. It's, so good. They've made a number of improvements. It plays a lot like the Surge 1, which is great. I had a blast with that. For anyone who doesn't know, the Surge is basically Dark Souls in a sci-fi universe. So the shtick, or the kind of cool thing about it, though, is the way that you get new weapons or armor pieces is by killing people who have those. Specifically, if like I'm fighting an enemy and like, oh man, that enemy has a really cool helmet, then I have to not only lock onto him, but use the right stick to target his helmet specifically so that I have the option to cut off his head and steal his helmet. Or if I like the weapon, I've got to target his right arm, do a bunch of damage to his right arm, and then cut off his arm. So there's still all of the mechanics in there, which are really cool. There's a ton of new types of weapons, which are fun. But there are a lot of like cool improvements to it. They've done the Bloodborne improvement. You know how Bloodborne, there's the, like, if you get hit, there's the encouragement to actually keep fighting rather than run away in order to gain some of that life back. In this, the way you used to have injections in Surge 1. You still have them in Surge 2. But it used to be just like a finite thing. Like you have 3 injections until you go back to the med bay and heal. But now, the more you attack, you build up an energy bar, and you can sacrifice some of that energy to give you another injection. So if you're low on health...
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, fight, bank that as an injection, heal yourself. So it gives you that other mechanic of like urging you to fight and encouraging you to do that. They also added loadouts. So there were some times when I would be in Surge 1 fighting a boss, and I'm like, man, this boss is so much faster than everything else that I've fought so far in this area, so I need to switch my weapon to a fast weapon. I need to switch my armor to something that allows me more mobility, and I have to switch up my mods and things like that. And rather than having to actually go through and unequip things and re-equip and remember what I had, you can just have 3 different loadouts that you can swap through on the fly, which is pretty cool. And then finally, it's just the shtick of this whole game, which is the same as it was, that has roped me back in, is that delicate dance that you dance of, I have X number of energy slots, and if I want really powerful armor, that's going to take up all those slots. I'm not going to have room for a powerful weapon or powerful mods. Or if I want these really cool powerful mods that allow me more health injectables and the ability to see my enemy's health bar or proactively block things, then I have to wear weaker armor. Or I can spend a bunch of scrap to level up so I can do both, but then I can't level up my armor and use my scrap to make my weapon stronger. So it's like figuring out what you want to use all your resources for, and it's like a really cool like advancement puzzle or like progression puzzle, which is really great. But I'm very much into it, and as soon as we get off of this podcast, I'm going to go play some more of that.
It sounds like a lot of quality of life improvements, which I think is all it needed, because the first game was very, very good.
Yeah.
You only didn't finish it. It's a shame.
You didn't finish it, you dummy.
Yeah, I got very close, but I didn't finish it. Is the story, do I have to finish the Surge 1? Just kidding. I know you don't have to.
I don't remember much of the story of the Surge 1, but they are alluding to a lot of it, but it's like, it's stuff that they fill in the gaps enough that you don't have to worry about it.
As a Souls-like game, it's not the most important part of the game, I can imagine.
Although there is definitely in this game more of a concentration on characters, and like there are people in this game who I'm like, oh, I know who Brother Eli is, and he's enough of a character that I'm going to remember him. Versus the other game is like there were like 2 or 3 people and didn't give a shit about any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great little thing. Oh, and my character, this one has a character creator. You're not just playing as Warren from the first one, but this one has a character creator, and they all look hideous as fuck. All the presets, all the different things, they're so ugly. But I'm playing as Pink. I gave her like the short pink haircut, and all, she looks like Pink, the artist.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, Pink. I thought you meant like
who in real life is very attractive, but in this game is like a horrid Play-Doh version of Pink.
You have to clarify in case Pink is listening to this podcast.
Just in case.
Offended. Yeah. I also played a Soulsborne game this week.
What'd you play?
Sekiro. Shocker. I played more Sekiro this week.
It's
and one other thing as well. Yeah, so last week I said I was on the final boss, and I was going to try to beat the final boss, and the final boss is really, 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 really hard. So I decided I'm going to replay the whole game again and get to the final boss again. But here's the thing that I'm finding is that it goes by so much faster when you know what you're doing. I can blow through bosses in like 30 seconds to a minute at this point.
Oh, wow.
Because once you understand the deflecting and how important deflecting is, some bosses get really easy. And at this point now where I'm like, I think that, like, going back and playing Bloodborne and Dark Souls a little bit in the prior week, those games are still fucking hard when I'm playing them. But Sekiro feels easier than Dark Souls and Bloodborne now, because I feel like I got that combat down, and it feels more like a rhythmic dance than anything. Like the rhythm of the swords, clashing against each other.
Feel the beat of the rhythm of the swords. Dance until the morning light.
I think that like the most satisfying thing in this game is just getting that perfect deflect. It is so goddamn satisfying when you see like the cling of the sword, like the spark is like golden instead of the like kind of usual duller color it is. Oh man, the sound it makes so good.
Get that uppercase penis.
Uppercase penis all over that game. So yeah, I'm just like, even if I'm at this point, I'm like, even if I don't finish this game, I think this is From Software's best game. There's so many things that I'm noticing and how they continue to make the game feel a lot more challenging than it really is. But once you like learn to break your habits, it becomes easier. So like an example is like how they lay out the bosses, where you'll fight one boss where deflecting and getting up in their face and attacking them when they're not attacking you anymore is important, and just keeping the swords clashing the entire time. Like a Jinichiro, kind of the first like major like test of skills boss, that is something that you have to do, is deflect when possible. When you're not having to deflect, get in his fucking face. Don't back up. The joke on the subreddit for Sekiro, which I'm now following, is hesitation is defeat. Because you can't hesitate. You can't do it. But then the boss you fight after him, depending on which way you go, is the giant ape, where you do not want to get in the ape's face. You can't do it. If you do, you're done. It's about keeping distance, going in when you can make an attack. It's a little bit more like a Bloodborne attack. But then after that boss, you fight the corrupted monk, who is again much more of a deflect, get in his face. It seems like you don't want to, but you have to. So it's constantly going back and forth between changing up how you have to approach situations. But it's always in this like familiar way where it's not necessarily you have to learn something brand new you hadn't learned before. It's like you have to remind yourself of what you're capable of. It's really cool, like, to see that as I'm going through the game, kind of knowing what to expect. And I can see why a lot of people would say, "Oh my God, this is infinitely harder than Sekiro," because I mean, than other Soulsborne games. Because I was kind of like in that ballpark too, but I'm like, no, this is totally achievable. You just have to learn how to break your habits. I still haven't figured out how to do it the final boss, because he's like a culmination of every boss.
Did you actually get back to him again?
So this is another thing I'm getting to, is I got to the what's called the owl fight, which is the second like big test of skill fight. But when you get there, you get to, spoiler alert for Sekiro, when you get there, you have a decision, because the owl is your father in the game, to obey your father, and which would then be disobeying your master, or obeying your master and disobeying your father. The mainline path in the game is to obey your master and disobey your father, which then leads to the owl fight. And this time I'm like, what? I don't want to do the owl fight. What's the other option? And the other option is actually just an early final boss, where you don't really get to see the last third of the game.
Oh.
So I'm technically on the final boss, but it's a different final boss battle.
Is it the same? Is it the same mechanics just earlier in the game, or is it like a completely different type of battle?
So in the final boss battle, like the main one, where you do have that final third of the game you're fighting through, you fight Genichiro, and then after you kill him, then you like the head of Ashina, Ishin, an older version of him resurrects out of Genichiro's body. And you fight this like him like Ishin in his prime, and that's the final boss battle. He has 3 death blows. If you go the route I just took, where I didn't disobey my master, and I instead fight my master, I have to fight his kind of like, I guess she's like a handmaid of some kind. You have to fight her, and she's really fucking good, just like you fight Genichiro as like an early like first phase of that boss. And then after you kill her, the old Ishin comes in, and you have to fight him. So it's like the same boss, but like one's a reincarnation of him when he was younger, and the one I'm facing now is him just being old as he is. But he's still fucking hard, if that makes any sense. I know it's like some like weird lore to explain.
Yeah, I got lost for a little bit in between there, but it's new but different. Something like that.
It's new but different, yeah. But goddamn, that game is really, really fucking good. I'm just constantly impressed by it. It's great stuff. The other thing I played this week, Matt Vieira invited me to a LAN party yesterday.
I was so surprised to see that you played this.
Yeah, so he invited me to a LAN party just to play Halo Master Chief Collection, with like multiple TVs in the room and multiple Xboxes connected each TV to like. It was awesome. I also really suck at Halo. Is what I found. Like really, really, really suck at Halo.
Wait, were you in that picture that he sent?
Yeah.
I didn't even fucking notice.
That's why he's like, we're together right now.
Oh my god, that's you! I didn't even notice. It was like, oh, there's Matt with 4 strangers that I don't know, but that's cool that they're having a party.
God. Thank God you're coming to see me next week, because it's been way too long.
I don't even recognize you anymore.
Well, I'm probably fatter in that picture that you saw me when I was living in Chicago. Might be part of it.
I think you know what it is? You're not wearing your baby shirt, although you are wearing the banana shirt, but not the banana stand shirt.
No, not the banana stand shirt, but I am wearing my yellow banana shirt.
Yep.
So the thing about Halo, so first of all, really bad. I was literally going like, hey guys, I know this is like a LAN tournament you're doing, and I'm tracking down every time I was on a team, that team lost. Every single time.
Feels like me and
that
Siege.
Bad. So I would get like half the kills of the second worst player on any of the teams. Like really bad every single time. And it's so much different than other shooters we've been playing lately. And I didn't even like think about this. There's a really simple fundamental difference for me. Well, 2. 1, you can't sprint. You're just running at the same speed all the time, which I think can kind of change how you move around the map. But also, you can't look down sights in Halo, at least in the first 3 Halo games.
And all 3 of them? I thought it was just the first. I don't remember.
In Combat Evolved, Halo 2, and Halo 3, which are the ones we played. I don't know about 4 and Reach because I've never played those before, or ODST.
It's been so long since I played those games.
Sides. It's just...
It has literally been 13 years since I played Halo 3. It was freshman year of college. It has been... And I haven't played 1 or 2 since then either. Whoa!
2007.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that you can't aim down sights in those.
Yeah, and I also... When I played Halo, I only played the campaign.
Yeah.
I didn't really play online because my Xbox, my stepdad decided to put a parental control on there to specifically not allow online content because he doesn't know what dirty things I could look up on the Xbox. Literally was what he told me. And then he didn't know the passcode to turn parental controls off, so I was never able to even play anything online.
Oh, it sounds like a lot of customers in the past that I knew. There were parental controls on this? I don't remember the passcode. Guess I got to erase everything.
Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh, yes. Gotta erase everything. Why? That's awful. Anyway, that's another story. So, it was really fun, though, being at that LAN party because everyone was so energetic, like yelling like really profane things at each other across the room to like get under the skin. It was really fun. It was a really, really fun time. I should probably play more Halo if I'm gonna go back, if they'll allow me to come back for like ruining each team that I was on. But it was really, really cool to kind of go back and play some of those like older school first-person shooters, which feels weird calling Halo old school, but it kind of is.
I mean, it redefined shooters, and then now it's old school shooters. So,
when did like looking down sights become a thing? I feel like, was that Call of Duty?
It was probably Call of Duty, yeah.
Because I feel like even Call of Duty 3, you could do that. I don't know. It was interesting. It was interesting. But the one I kept forgetting about certain like items and guns in that. I had totally forgotten about sticky grenades and how fun sticky grenades are. Like just, oh no, I got stuck with a sticky grenade. Fuck it, I'm just charging towards that guy now because if I'm going down, he's coming down with me. It was a lot of fun. It was good stuff.
God, I forgot how OP the energy sword is in that game.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
energy sword is crazy.
I can't wait. Sometime in the near future, one of my gaming resolutions that we mentioned a few weeks ago is that I'm going to play through all the Halos before Halo Infinite comes out. Mm-hmm. Speaking of, I guess I'll break the news to everybody. There will be 6 weeks where I'll have nothing to do but play video games. So I want people's suggestions of what I should be playing. The Halo is a great opportunity. And to everyone, there will be a time for about 2 weeks where I won't be on the podcast later this month. Holden will be doing something else with somebody else, and I'll not be jealous. And
monologues.
Monologues. He's going to do Shakespeare soliloquies just for you. But yeah, so for my birthday, I'm getting skin removal surgery for all the weight loss. Finally, like this is the last step, and I'm going to have 6 weeks off of work and I'm not allowed to get my heart rate up or anything like that. I'm like not allowed to leave the apartment. Basically, I could like walk down to Walgreens after a couple of weeks, but so I'm going to be stuck here doing nothing, and I'm going to need a lot of entertainment. So if anyone wants to play Halo in the middle of a work day, let me know. Or if you've got games that you just want to hear what I've played and hear my opinion on it, let me know.
You must be bummed that Final Fantasy VII got delayed then.
Right? My first day back at work will be March 30th, and it's like that's a week before Final Fantasy VII. I was like, damn it, I could have used all of that.
Yeah, that'd been a great time to do it.
Right?
Speaking of great time, let's move on to fetch quests.
Let's do it!
Starting off with some rumor fetch quests, because we don't know if these are official or not until they're made official. The first one, did Insomniac Games tease Sunset Overdrive 2 from Dennis Patrick at Game Ranks?
That's my best Tim
Basically,
Allen
they
impression.
tweeted a photo from the game of one of the, I guess, like brutish zombie dudes. I haven't played the game before, but they just said that looks ... infected is the caption. Does that mean Sunset Overdrive 2? I don't know. Maybe it's a rumor. We'll find out.
Let's
later.
hope we see Spider-Man 2 first.
I feel like they do on Sunset Overdrive 2 first because that they've been longer. I don't know.
I still feel like that IP has so much history. I mean, it's literally just one game's worth of history, but it has so much association with Xbox that, like, I would love to see Spider-Man 2 as, like, a first year game, maybe year and a half on PlayStation 5, and then they can, like, spin off a team and do Sunset Overdrive 2 and reclaim that IP.
It is going to be weird because I feel like Sunset Overdrive 2 will probably happen, but it'll be weird when it's a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
Especially when it was one of the only, like, new IPs for Microsoft last generation.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, nope.
One of the
that's ours.
only Xbox exclusives that reviewed well this generation.
Yeah. Outside of, like, Gears and the Halo game that hasn't come out yet.
Gears
which will
5 was
probably get
good.
lowered.
More people should play that. It's free on Game Pass. Get on it, you motherfuckers.
All of them are. Speaking of Bungie, because that Bungie somehow is relevant.
Because
there.
you played a lot of Halo, and they made Halo.
Exactly. This isn't exactly a rumor, but it's also not exactly official, so I'm putting it in rumor. New Bungie game will be, quote, comedic and, quote, lighthearted from Zarmena Khan at PlayStation Lifestyle. So Bungie had a job listing for a incubation art director. It says, would you like to work on something comedic with lighthearted and whimsical characters? Do you think a lot about how art impacts gameplay, how character design can enable for cosplays, or how character poses and environments speak to different cultures all around the world? As the incubation art director, you will define the look of a new Bungie IP and will work on all aspects of art to guide a prototype on the path to production. Zarmena Khan pointed out in the article two things in 2018 that happened that kind of add some interesting, make that job description more interesting. Bungie's a trademark for a game called Matter, and it has a very, very colorful logo. So it was trademarked in 2018. And also, before that trademark even came out, Bungie had a statement. Our long-term goal is to become an entertainment company that sustains many worlds simultaneously, Destiny, and new worlds to come. So they're definitely working on something.
Give it to me, baby. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they would do, absolutely.
They have made big improvements on like the characters of Destiny and like starting with some of the lore and things like that, especially in all of these new things that I didn't even know existed in there. But yeah, if they have characters, it sounds like they want to do like on the scale, like heroes on the scale of Overwatch, because they're talking about like enable fan cosplays and things like that, and character poses and environments speak to each other and different cultures like that. They want to go that route, so really strong characters, and also make it like really funny and lighthearted. Like if they go with Cage 6, I know it's not Destiny related, but if they do a Cage 6, which is Nathan Fillion in Destiny 2, if they do that, and just a whole game centered around him, I'd play that game. I would cosplay as Cage 6, even though he's a robot. Let's move on.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Would also be cool is this rumor, which has me kind of excited, and then also at the same time not excited, depending on what happens. Rumor, the major Switch title this holiday season could have, quote, tires in it. That actually is from a tweet from Saber, who we've talked about a few weeks ago as well. She was the one, or he was the one, whoever they are. They are the one who leaked the, or started the rumor of Paper Mario and 2D Metroid coming out this year. So same person. Tires, it's like it's got to be Mario Kart, but are they going to do Mario Kart 9, or is this going to be Nintendo Kart?
Or is it F-Zero? Was Tires somehow?
Matt Vieira has a better title for Nintendo Kart, and it's Super Smash Racing, and I love that title.
I'd play that.
I'd like Super Smash Racing more than Nintendo Kart. Nintendo Kart is like, it'd be weird to have Nintendo in the name of one of their games. I guess it matters Nintendo Land, but that kind of proves the rule. The exception proves the rule. Yeah, I don't know.
My first
I love
reaction
Mario Kart,
was,
but it's so good already on.
I know we'll get to
Switch.
sales later, but my first reaction is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is selling gangbusters all the time. Still, it's like 30 million units or 25 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So like, why would they need another Mario Kart? This one's, and then it was like,
Yeah.
but then they could also sell 25 or 30 million more units to everyone by adding a third item.
I know this is very like ignorant and small-minded of me to say, but what can they really do in Mario Kart? Like, if they're going to do a new Mario Kart, that's fine, but I feel like it would have to have a reason to exist. They can't just it's just like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but there's 3 items now.
Oh God, if it's Diddy Kong Racing again, oh my God, I would play so much of that.
Yes, they have to do something big. We'll see what happens. So if it's like a new Mario Kart that looks like it's doing some interesting stuff, I'm pumped. I'm all for that. If it's basically Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I don't care.
Deluxe.
I just wish they made DLC instead. DLC would be great.
Yeah, Mercedes-Benz, baby.
Another rumor, also Nintendo related, the Wonderful 101 on Switch teased again by Platinum Games. There's a tweeted photo of one of the directors or producers of that game, Wonderful 101, with the time on the monitor behind him saying 101. So everyone's going, oh my God, it means that 101's happening. Normally I go, that's a stretch. But then there's that Per Schneider quote from a few weeks ago where he said that the next port from the Wii U he hinted at it being a real-time strategy game, which is kind of falls into what Wonderful 101 or like Pikmin would be. So we'll see.
Nintendo shipped,
Are you looking up something?
I'm looking up sales numbers. Like, why would they choose this game? We only have, for some reason, Japan numbers, but Nintendo shipped 30,000 copies for the game's launch. Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember it being like a huge game necessarily, but it had a really big cult following, so maybe they're hoping that will translate to a wider audience on Switch that will make it worth it. I don't know. But I feel like Pikmin would be the smarter choice. Like, more people would buy a Pikmin game than Wonderful 101.
Yeah, it sold 5,000 copies in its first week. Oh.
So that means it'll be like at least 7,000 on the Switch.
Yep. Was it this or is it something else later in the notes that it's getting kickstarted?
There's nothing about Kickstarter in the notes later on.
Maybe it was this article then about Wonderful 101. Yeah, update in the article. Following on from yesterday's teaser, an anonymous source via 4chan is claiming there will be an announcement for a Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 version of Wonderful 101, and it will be crowdfunded via Kickstarter. That makes more sense to me, because it did not sell well. So I doubt Nintendo would want to put that money behind it. So if Platinum wants to make it, they're going to make it multi-platform so they can make as much money as they can and kickstart it, because no one else will fund it.
We will see. Now we've got to the official Fetch Quest log. First one is Fire Emblem Hero subscription costs $9.50 per month.
Boo!
This is from Alistair Wong, Silicon Era. Yeah, I wrote down all the benefits of it, and I don't even feel like reading them out because these are things that are going to speak to people who are going to buy it anyway, and I'm sure there's some people who do that for reasons we will talk about later on in the Nintendo official quest log. But yeah, like that costs more than the Nintendo Switch Online.
Yep. I've never played Fire Emblem Heroes, but like it is. We'll talk about later how it is their best money or their best revenue generating game on mobile by far.
Oh yeah,
and it's just because of the microtransactions. But then like to see that people weren't willing to pay $10 one time for all of Super Mario Run, but they'll pay $10 a month for Fire Emblem. When you could buy Super Smash Brothers and it's literally just a Fire Emblem fighting game, like, you could buy that one time.
This is how civilizations crumble, everyone.
I hate it.
This is how it happens. EA made more than $1 billion for microtransactions last quarter, speaking of microtransactions, and they also sold 8 million units of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, so good for them.
About the Star Wars Fallen Order thing, like EA was all about like it sold way better than we expected it to. It sold 8 million units, and for me, I was like, That's more than you thought it would sell?
I think they said that in their projections, this was in the higher end of their projections. I think is what they were saying.
But it's still, that seems low to me. I mean, 8 million is a lot. I think, if you think about like Resident Evil, like I think the best-selling Resident Evil is like 11 million or 12 million. It was just so surprising to see a multi-platform game that is Star Wars, that is Respawn. Because I looked up sales for Battlefront 2, which was a game that everyone knew was like rigged and broken and stuff like that. And I felt like no one bought that. And that also sold just over 8 million units. And I was like, if that's like when people knew the game was broken.
I think this is EA, who probably didn't have a lot of faith in single-player games to begin with. Here's also the quote here from the article. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order had sold beyond our projections for the quarter and later reiterated the result by saying it hit the high end of its expected sales. So I think they said that earlier, and then they later reiterated later on in their call with investors.
Well, I hope that means that they give more money, time, and care to Respawn so they can actually make the second one good. The first one was good.
So.
It was just not what I wanted it to be.
Yeah. It wasn't good.
It was
okay.
broken as fuck.
Yeah. Stadia announces Guilt and Metro Exodus on February's Pro Games, but some adopters are getting restless. We'll talk about that restless part.
Speaking of broken as fuck, hey Stadia, what's up?
That's from Chris Moyes at Destructoid.
Oh, can I mention one real quick thing about Stadia? So Matt and I played. Yes, Matt is all over this episode. Matt and I played Destiny last week on Monday because the 14th or whatever, not the day. The Tuesday was the last day that you could get something in the game, and so you had to run through this fucking awful puzzle thing that was 30. I don't know how people figured it out. The people who figured it out, props to you. You guys are psychopaths. But we had to run through it before Tuesday. And he was like, man, I left my PS4 at home. And I was like, but do you have Stadia? And he's like, oh my God, I do have my Stadia. I've got a controller with me. Let's go. And he, despite in Stadia, in the client itself, it says, your Wi-Fi connection is good. You're good to play. Let's go. It's fast. And then he filmed a video of himself playing it where he was like, he would hold the thumbstick on the controller for like 5 seconds and he would rotate in the game. He'd spin and then he'd let go and his character would just continue to spin. So there were times when we like, all right, we have to go to the Clover door, and it's like straight in the back right of the room. And he's like, cool, I'm going to line it up as best as I can and just hold forward and hope I make it there. He couldn't shoot or anything like that. It was like an awful playing experience. But we got it done. Whatever it was that we needed to be done, got it done, got to the end, and there was some glitch that we didn't even get the thing. So fuck it.
Despite Stadia, you made it.
Yeah. Stadia's broken. PlayStation Plus games, though, for February 2020 are dope. They include BioShock the Collection and Sims 4. Everyone, if you're a PlayStation Plus member, make sure you go get BioShock the Collection because BioShock Infinite is on our list sometime this year to be a barf game. And you should have already gotten it because we played 2 games already, BioShock 1 and 2 with Minerva's Den. Unless you're a new listener. Hey, what's up, new listener? What's up? What are you wearing?
Yeah, don't scold them. They don't know what's up.
Let's keep going.
Speaking of Sony and good things, Sony running a campaign to support Australian bushfire relief efforts. So they're going to have like executives like Ted Price and Shuhei Yoshida just doing live streams and playing games to raise money.
That's really cool.
Nice of them.
I love seeing all of this, like, again, coming back to Bungie and Destiny. Like, there's the shirt you can buy on Bungie.net that's a Destiny shirt, but all the proceeds go to helping out the bushfires in Australia. Like, that's really cool. I love to see the industry getting behind helping people.
I also see the industry get behind Nintendo Switch, and that's exactly what's happening with The Outer Worlds, which has now an official release date, March 6th.
Woo!
I would buy it there, but I basically already have it on PlayStation and Xbox because of Xbox Game Pass.
Right?
So I feel like to have it on 3 consoles would be a little strange.
But here's the thing.
Being on Switch would be nice.
When it's on Switch, you're going to get the authentic Fallout experience. Not only is it going to be a Fallout game, but it's also going to be broken and janky. Because it's the worst way to play it. Just kidding. I'm sure it's going to be great.
It actually might be good. I don't know. Because it's not really like an incredible looking game to begin with. I don't know. This is interesting, this one. The Sonic movie's not even out yet, but Jim Carrey is up for doing a sequel.
Of course he is. I'm sure he got paid a lot of money.
Well, so I watched the clip, and I was thinking that too. Like, I'm sure it is just like something he had to say in an interview because it's press and they got to make the movie look good. But I'm like, let me watch this and see what they have to say. And the question actually was, like, what character would you like to see keep going that you could go back to? And this is after they talked about, like, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, like, great acting from, like, Adam Sandler and Akun Jebs. Like, it was kind of all over the place. And he's like, hey, oh, by the way, like, what would you like to, like, play as? He's like, Robotnik from the Sonic movie. I'd love to go back to that character because I feel like we haven't even touched the ridiculousness that he can get to. Plus, I like playing a character that's so smart, is what he said.
I still do think that's a little bit of PR talk, but
I'm sure there's some PR talk in there, but it didn't seem like the interviewer was like, so tell me about why you like this movie.
Right.
Like, he brought it up on his own, and I think that kind of says something.
Interesting.
I'm sure the movie's still not going to be that great.
Oh, it's going to be awful.
It's coming out in 2 weeks.
Oh, I won't be able to see it. That'll be the day my surgery is.
Oh, you're going to miss out. You're going to be so upset. Metro Exodus's next DLC arrives February 11th, and that is our final quest log. That might have been our final fetch quest. That was a long fetch quest.
Yeah, it was.
Moving on to our first official quest log item. That's from Microsoft. This is all going to the financial stuff now. Xbox is making less money than this time last year, but it's complicated. That's from Eric Van Allen at US Gamer. So they're down on total revenue 21% when it comes to anything like Xbox related. Xbox content and services specifically is down 11%. Microsoft says this comes from a decrease in third-party activity from the previous year. They did not mention what that third party was, but two suggestions are Fortnite's sales dip last year and a lack of major third-party titles on the level of Red Dead Redemption 2 that we had in 2018, but not as much in 2019. Despite these drops.
Sorry, isn't that crazy that they can say, hey, this free-to-play game didn't make enough money for us this year as it did last year? Isn't that crazy that we live in a time where this free game like Fortnite is like a huge revenue driver for Microsoft?
Oh, yeah, because microtransactions changing the world.
Right?
Eric Van Allen suggests... despite these drops, Game Pass doubled its subscription last quarter. Eric Van Allen suggests this will have positive repercussions since Game Pass subscribers tend to buy more games. Also, worth noting that drops of this nature aren't surprising as the console cycle ends.
Yeah,
that part
that's
I
right.
kind of want to... I do want to touch on that part, though. When you say, like, buying software like might go down at the end of a cycle because people are going to get the next console. Like, yeah, that's a trend that we have seen. I'm surprised it's happening this time around, though, because of how adamant Microsoft has been that forwards compatibility. Like, these games are going to be playable on the next generation of consoles. All the controllers you can get will be playable in the next generation of consoles. I thought we'd see less of a drop, but 21% is pretty much what usually happens.
I mean,
is that something we'll see, like, next generation later?
If
you know what I mean?
think there is such a small sliver of the pie of people who play games who actually hear any of the Microsoft messaging. Like when they say, yeah, your games are going to work on Xbox Series X. Yeah, your controllers will work. Everything's forward and backwards compatible across the board. They're like the small percentage of a percentage of a percentage of people who actually hear that information and know what it means and all that is like nobody knows. Your Madden people, your Call of Duty people, like the huge revenue drivers, like they hear, oh, I saw a commercial for an Xbox Series X during the Super Bowl tonight. Great.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to save up my money for that and stop buying stuff this year. That's all they know, and that's all they're going to know until it comes out and they buy it and they play the next whatever they play.
I think you're definitely onto something where there's a lot of people who play games who just don't care, who just want to play their games. But then you look at things like the Game Awards getting like 45 million people viewing it, and a lot of that's for the announcements and seeing what new stuff's going to be announced. That I don't know. I think that there's like that niche of gamers, like that bubble we're in. I think it might be larger than like say movies, people who go see movies. Like I think like there's a niche of like film lovers who like know all the movies that are coming out in 2020 already because they're really like huge advocates of film. Versus video games, I think there are more people who would pay attention to that kind of thing.
Video games definitely.
I don't know.
Like I think it's true that video games now officially make more money or is a larger business, more revenue, more money in video games than any other entertainment business.
Yeah, but I guess I'm wondering though more of like the number of enthusiasts compared to like other industries or other mediums. I don't know. I don't think there's really been like a study on that.
Yeah, I have my gut feeling says, but old people love movies and old people hate video games. Like, yes, we
True.
have millennials and all like the
Yeah.
Gen Z. Like, all of these people love video games and they're really passionate about it.
Yeah.
And people in their 30s and 40s now who grew up with them. But like, everyone watches movies and loves movies. Unless if you don't, then you should die. But not everyone loves video games.
That'll change one day.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of olds, the Sony quest log. Final Fantasy VII Remake, that old game that's being remade, has a new trailer, and oh my god, it's so good.
Oh, I wish it didn't exist, though. It was like 4 minutes long. There was way too much reveal. Like, it showed you so much of that game. Like, introducing you to Red 13, the dog thing that with the fire tail, like that. Like, running across these things for the first time in the game, and like, oh my god, am I about to have a dog thing that joins my party in the middle of the game and it fights? That's such a cool thing. That's awesome. And then like, there was so much in this trailer that I just wish people hadn't seen. I want them to experience that for the first time while they're playing the game. All the cross-dressing stuff. Oh my god! Like, I know they had to put it in there to like assure hardcore fans of the old one, like, yes, don't worry, this is still a thing in the game, but like, it's one of those like funny things that they've spoiled. Yeah.
I had this like, maybe they put it out there to like just to see if some like idiots online would be really upset about, like, oh my god, there's something genderless, like we must boycott this, and that causes like some sort of like big press to give Final Fantasy VII like any bad press is good press kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear anything like that, which kind of surprised me in a good way. Like, very happy people get mad about that. I felt like that could have been a big outrage moment for people. Like, oh my gosh, Cloud's wearing a dress. Men can't wear dresses. That's ridiculous.
That being said, however, this game looks so fucking good.
Yes. I was talking to, or I tweeted back and forth with Darby. Why did I say Dalton?
I don't know.
Darby about it. And it was like, this game looks so like high production value, so polished. There's no corners cut in this. It just looks perfect. It looks so fucking perfect. It's like they're almost doing a disservice to themselves for future Final Fantasy games. Like, they're remaking everyone's favorite story in a Final Fantasy game into what looks like it could be one of the best games of the year.
There's a lot of Final Fantasy fans out there who will say, whoa. Nobody loves Final Fantasy VII for the story. That's not like the best Final Fantasy story. There are so many other better ones out there. So, just
oh really?
I'm gonna
I always thought it was the story that had to be. Well, so what was the big appeal then? I thought it was the story.
I mean, a lot of it was like the first time that it was in 3D, like the cut scenes that were fully rendered and that kind of stuff were really cool. People liked the characters that were in it that were like interesting characters, but the story itself is kind of dumb. But there's things like Final Fantasy V.
Final Fantasy VII, you monster.
Final Fantasy V story is so much better. Final Fantasy VI, even like there are so many better JRPG stories out there than Final Fantasy VII.
They should just scrap this then and make those stories instead.
Kill it.
PS4 games. PS4 game sales top 1 billion all time, says Sony. That's 1.18 billion, not 181 billion. Games sold. And that includes digital and physical, but not DLC content. 274 million of those games were sold 2019. I almost said this year. That was last year.
So like a quarter of its sales were all made in this year. That's crazy.
Did I write millions and a billion again? Did I do that again?
I thought, I wasn't 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure PS3 did not sell 1 trillion games.
No, it didn't. And neither did the... Anyway, so yeah, PS3 sold 999 million games. PS2 sold 1.53 billion games. So Sony's doing pretty well this time around. Probably not going to pass PS2, but...
No, they seem to line up in order of like the hardware that was sold, PS2, PS4, PS3. Yeah. The games kind of line up that same way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Good for them.
And speaking of PlayStation 4... Sony's asking PlayStation 4 owners if they want remote play on the Nintendo Switch, among other things, says Damien McFerrin at Nintendo Life. I'm so hyped for this.
So, yeah, let's start with that one first. Then we'll kind of go through some of the other ones that are listed in there as well. First of all, this is from a Reddit post. It's like pictures taken of a survey, which happened. So you don't know if it's legitimate or not, but based on the questions they're kind of asking, it seems like it's pretty much what you'd expect from these kind of surveys.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would want that.
Yeah.
Like really badly.
It's a remote
That's
play
a
app
great
on
idea.
Switch. Freaking great. And then you have to dock the Switch and put it in Ethernet for it to work anyway, so.
Yeah, it'd be really good, mostly because, for me, it would show a sign that Sony is willing to expand outside of their just, what would you even call it? It's not even like a walled garden. It's like rigid and unwilling to change. It'd be nice to see that. Some of these other things, though, sound kind of cool, too. In no particular order, just listing some of these off. PS4 remote play on a device without an internet connection. So, like, your PlayStation 4 might not have to be online.
Or the device itself doesn't have an internet connection. Like, you could download...
Yeah.
I could see this, like, potentially there's a PS4 remote play app on your iPad, and you can download games locally to play on your iPad. Like, you can download locally to play on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. They also, you mentioned as well, using remote play when the PS4 is offline as well. Like, both of those sound really great. Especially PS4 being offline, because that would mean that it would just go directly from a server to your device,
right?
As opposed to from your PS4 and that internet connection, and however slow that internet connection is, to the server and then to your device, and whatever internet connection that device has. That sounds like it could be a really good solution to smoothing out remote play, which can be a little wonky sometimes. Access to PS1 and PS2 games is another thing they asked for. On that note of like taking PlayStation with you with remote play, a slim portable DualShock controller that is easier to carry on the go.
Yeah,
which they've kind of had with like the DualShock Mini, so it's not necessarily out of the question. They've kind of already done that already, just not with the intended focus of like on the go play. I think that the Mini was just more for like kids' hands was kind of the idea, just for smaller hands. Using different controllers with remote play, with an example of using the Xbox wireless controller. Also, like another thing of Sony's gonna break the rigid shell and try something else. Physically changing the controller layout, positioning and size of controllers is listed as an example. This one I was confused about. Did they mean like changing the size of the controls on a touchscreen when you're doing remote play on like a touchscreen device, or do they actually mean like physical, meaning like physical, like you're holding it in your hand, you're changing the controller itself? What would that look like?
I assumed this was like Xbox Elite controller on crack. You know how Elite controller you can like swap out the D-pads and move paddles around.
Totally.
But like you might be able to like move. You could offset the thumbsticks or keep them like even, or you could move the buttons slightly if they're more comfortable in one area.
I totally get that, but first of all, what does that look like? Like, how do you design something like that? Like, let's say I wanted to have a bigger X button. The hole on the controller would have to accommodate for all sizes of that X button, which means that the controller itself would have to be larger than, like, it would have to be a big controller, but then you're physically changing its size. I'd have to see it to, like, really understand.
Maybe they don't understand either. They're just, if people want it, like, cool, maybe we'll throw some R&D money at it and figure out what that looks like.
And that's what I think we need to mention, too. Just because they're asking the questions doesn't mean they're actually going to do any of these things.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we should probably mention that, yeah. Ability to play PS4 remote play on more devices, like a Nintendo Switch, Apple TV, or Android TV. The Apple TV and Android TV is a big deal, too.
Yeah, now that you finally have legit controller support with Xbox and PS4, too.
Yeah. And then lastly, the most exciting one on this list, adjust the sensitivity of the on-screen controls. Woo!
That's important.
Cool. That's very important. I really hope that they at least bring this remote play to Switch, which of all the things listed seems like the most likely. Well, except for access to PS1 and PS2 games.
Yeah.
Seems like the most likely.
To me, it seems like Sony has a plan for some kind of improved streaming technology, whether it's a streaming service, whether it's buffing up remote play to make it more accessible or something like that. It has a plan, and it might even have many of these things ready to go. And then this might be like, cool, which one do we polish first? What are people most looking for? And maybe that's what we'll put out first, and then we'll continue to work on the rest of them over time.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, that they are dipping their toes in that water.
Yep. Moving on to the Nintendo Quest log, which is this is a big one. There's a lot of financial stuff to talk about. Got the Pokemans to talk about. Got Animal Crossing to talk about. Start with Chad's favorite, Animal Crossing. We'll get through this fast. Don't worry, Chad. We'll get through it very fast. First, Nintendo confirms Animal Crossing New Horizons is limited to one island per Switch. Matthew Olson at US Gamer tells us. This is something that was suggested at E3 last year, but never flat out said. And now it's flat out said. Nintendo sent their Australian site. Please note, only one island can exist per Nintendo Switch console, irrespective of the number of user accounts registered or copies of the game used on the console. One Nintendo Switch and one copy of the game is required for each unique island.
So, like, if you and me both share a Switch, and you have your own profile with your own games and your own achievements, and I have mine with my own games, even though I bought a separate cartridge or I downloaded the game separately or paid for it, like, because we're on the same console, we have to share the same house and the same Tom Nook and the same fucking everything.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's so stupid. Yeah. Animal Crossing sucks.
That's how it's worked in the past, though. So, like, on a 3DS, you could have 4 save files on a 3DS version, but it was always the same island. Or no, it was always the same town, I mean, that you were on. So you basically just see the other profile's house as just like one of your neighbor's houses.
Oh.
And I think that the way that this is designed to work and the reason it has to work this way is that when you're doing local multiplayer with someone who already has a profile and you just have like 2 controllers connected to the Switch, you're just in the same town you guys both already know. The thing I can see becoming an issue, however, is that in this game, I believe you can just kick people out of your town if you don't like them. Like other villagers, not like the main like profile players. But like that might get kind of frustrating for some people where like if I really like Baxter in the game, but the other person doesn't like Baxter and kicks him out of the town, I'm going to be kind of bummed about that.
Yep. If I decide, hey, I'm done with Animal Crossing, you can forget my save file. But before I go, I'm going to kill everyone in your town.
You could do that, and I wouldn't be very nice. But you would be very nice.
That Switch.
Yeah.
It looks
There's
nice.
just one problem with this lovely Animal Crossing themed Nintendo Switch. And you know what that is? I'm not going to buy it. That's the problem. Because I want it, but I'm not going to spend $300 to buy another Switch. It doesn't include the game. It's just a $300 Switch regular. And it comes out March 13th. It looks really nice. I like it a lot. It's got, they call them like seafoam colored Joy-Cons, I think is what it was.
It's like a light green and a light blue one. They look
really
nice. They will sell them separately in Japan if you want to import them from Japan. But
of course they'll sell them in Japan, but not America. Those bastards.
Yep.
Yeah, looks nice.
It does.
Would be like an ideal world kind of thing. It's like, hey, we're releasing the Switch 2. But on launch day, we'll have every single variant we're ever going to release for it available on that day.
I want it on launch day, but also I want all these cool versions of it.
Yeah. Can't have it both ways. Let's talk about the Pokemon. So the first thing here is Pokemon home price options include a free and paid plans. Brian Cooper at Silicon Era. So there's a free plan and a basic plan. Sorry, a free plan and a premium plan.
Well, first
free
of all,
and basic would be very strange.
I don't even know if we've even mentioned it on the thing, but Pokemon Home comes out this month, February 2020.
Yeah.
It officially got released, and then this is kind of the information about how it works.
Yes. So the free plan, you can't transfer Pokemon from Pokemon Bank. So if you already have Pokemon at Pokemon Bank, or you need to kind of make Pokemon that you have in your DS or 3DS copies switch to the Switch version of the game, transition to the Switch version of the game, you have to get the premium plan. So basic already has a limitation on it. You can only have 30 Pokemon stored at any time. And then there's also the Wonder Box, the global trade system. I don't know what these were. Wonder Box is a box where you put 3 Pokemon in there and they randomly get traded for other Pokemon. Whereas the global trade system, you request to trade specific Pokemon for other specific Pokemon.
Yes, you can say like, hey, I want this Charmander. Somebody trade me this Charmander for a Gengar. And you just put it out there and people can see that forever and no one's ever going to take that deal up unless they need a starter. So, and then finally when someone's like, you know what, I will take that. And then you actually get what you want rather than a random trade.
Yep. So Wonder Box, you can have up to 3 Pokemon in the free plan, or the basic plan as they call it, and 1 Pokemon in the global trade system. Then you go to the premium plan, and you can have up to 10 Pokemon in the Wonder Box and 3 in the global trade system, so that increases. But you can also have up to 6,000 Pokemon deposited as opposed to 30, and you can transfer from the Pokemon Bank. Now, pricing... It's $3 for 1 month, $5 for 3 months, and $16 for 1 year.
That's like the cost almost of Nintendo Switch Online service itself.
Yeah, it is. And people will pay for it because people love their Pokemons.
But even like Pokemon Bank, which is like basically just the storage part of all of this and moving it between games, was only $5 a year.
Yeah. And also, really, how much storage space is it really? Because they don't actually have to hold the asset itself. I mean, by asset meaning like the actual character model of the Pokemon.
Right.
And all like the noises associated and all of the moves. They don't do any of that. All they actually made the moves associated. But all they have to do is hold the name of the Pokemon in a text file, as well as what level it's at and what moves it has. And that would be like a line of a text file.
Yep.
That takes up absolutely no server space whatsoever. This is just basically $15.99 of pure profit every single year for Game Freak.
Yep.
So good for them. People will buy it. I probably won't because honestly, 30 is enough Pokemon for anything I would use the Pokemon Bank for.
Yeah, this is 100% for those people who were freaking out. Like, I've had my fucking Butterfree since Pokemon Ruby on the Game Boy Advance, and I've been moving it from game to game to game to game, and now this is finally the ability for you to move that to Switch. So this is those people who have taken their entire 1,000-something Pokemon Pokedex and moving it over. Great.
Yeah.
For me,
and I think
if there's like, oh, cool, I caught Mewtwo in that other game, and now on the next one I want to use it, great. I'll do basic for a month and move that one Pokemon that I like. And that's it.
I think for that person, this is worth it.
Yeah.
I think, $16 a year is for someone who loves Pokemon that much, very affordable, I think. Is it for me? Yeah, that's not worth my money for what I'd use it for. What I've always used Pokemon Bank for is making sure I can have all 3 starter Pokemon at the beginning of a Pokemon game. I play the game, I get it so that I can trade it into the Pokemon Bank while still having one Pokemon in my party that I don't give a shit about. I delete that save file, I do it all over again for the next starter Pokemon until I have all 3. That's what I use it for, and I can do that no problem with 30 Pokemon.
Yep.
But the big Pokemon news this week, Dexit move aside because Nintendo calls Pokemon Sword and Shield a huge hit as it breaks 16 million in sales from Brett Makandowski at Destructoid. So it sold 16.18 million copies. Sorry, it sold
16 million itself. I think that's
16.08. I didn't put the number in here. It's 16.08 or something like that. 16.18 million copies of Sun and Moon were sold. So that was like the last one. So it already is basically at where Sun and Moon ended up, and it's just in the first quarter of its sales.
Right, and this is quarter, so the quarter that ended December 31st. So it's like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Versus lifetime of Sun and Moon. Woo!
Exactly. So really good. And then other Pokemon games, it's definitely going to pass like Gold and Silver, which is the second best-selling Pokemon game, which was at 23.1 million units. Red, Blue, and Green sold 31.38. Don't know if it's going to reach that or not, but this is going to be one of the best-selling Pokemon games ever. I guess the number of Pokemon didn't really bother people that much.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Can I... this just reminded me of the dream I had last night. I didn't even remember. I dreamt last night that I went into a GameStop, and I just spent the entire dream rummaging through shelves, finding old Game Boy versions of Pokemon. Like, oh, here's Pokemon Red, here's Pokemon Yellow, and all of them had something written on them in Sharpie, like the person's name or like a smiley face or something like that. And I found the games and spent the whole dream just like cleaning the Sharpie off of the game. What a boring ass dream.
That's really sorry. Okay. Moving on to something way more exciting than that. Financials. This is a lot of Nintendo investor talk, but I think a lot of it's actually kind of interesting. So for starters, the Nintendo Switch Online service has now has more than 15 million subscribers. It comes from Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. President Furukawa said one more point to mention is the more than 15 million accounts worldwide with a paid membership to Nintendo Switch Online. And those sales occupy a certain presence within our digital sales. But while new members continue to join, there are also those who do not renew their memberships, which for him to call that out means there's probably a decent amount of people who are canceling their NSO accounts.
I would if you didn't pay for it.
Yeah, I have you on my family plan because it's $35 a year. I'm going to have to play Nintendo games online, so might as well. This still accounts for 29% of all Switch owners, which is actually a good percentage to be at. Pretty sure that's exactly where Sony and Microsoft are.
Yeah, I think Sony was like just over 30 million of their 106 million PS4 owners.
Yes, they're doing well, but I think it's that people are coming back on, not necessarily staying. Like they're kind of leaving and going quite a bit. So they're trying to find new ways to add value to NSO. So I'm sure we'll see like N64 games, like that kind of stuff get added. Maybe all games will be able to do cloud save instead of like this weird like some things get these features, some things don't get these features. It's definitely has some problems, but the price I think saves it. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Speaking of see what happens there, Nintendo just end the 3DS. The 3DS is still chugging along as Nintendo reveals recent sales numbers and reconfirms lack of new games on the horizon, but they're still putting in stores. So with its total sales of 620,000 units last year, the 3DS is now down 73% from last year. They have stopped making games, but it still feels like if you go to like a Best Buy, it's right there with the Switch still. Like side by side. I just feel like we should be past that at this point.
It really, like my nephew just got a 2DS for his birthday in January, and we went to Target, and it is side by side, and of course it's a 2DS and it has Mario Kart on it and Donkey Kong, and he's like, this is just as good as the Switch. Poor little kid doesn't know that in a year he's going to be wishing he had the Switch instead. But yeah, It's kill it. Put a bullet in his head.
Especially because they get other money now from mobile games. From 6 games, Nintendo brought in $1 billion in lifetime revenue.
Not including Pokemon Go, because that's the Pokemon company Niantic.
Yeah, not including Pokemon Go.
Which itself brought in $1 billion. It was like 990 million or something like that.
Yeah. Really quickly. That's from Rebecca Valentine at GamesIndustry.biz. So we were talking about this earlier. Fire Emblem accounted for 61% of all the money that Nintendo made from mobile games. 61%. That means that the number two mobile game financially for Nintendo was Animal Crossing with 131 million in sales. Dollars in sales,
which is like
131 like downloads. Yeah. So holy shit. Fire Emblem did really well.
And then Dragalia lost right behind Animal Crossing. You remember that game?
Yeah, that surprised me. Man, but poor Dr. Mario World. Holy shit. $4.8 million in sales. It's by far the lowest.
Yeah. Because that game was trash. So, I literally never opened it, but I watched the 4-minute trailer from Nintendo, which was just a tutorial on it. I was like, never touching that.
My brother liked it a lot. He was obsessed for like a few weeks. He might be one of the older.
he might be the whale that spent your dad's $4.6 million.
My dad had $4.6 million. That's news to me. Nintendo Switch had its most successful sales year yet, and it only took 3 quarters. This is also from Brett Makindowski at Destructoid. So since April 2019 and the end of 2019, Nintendo sold 17.74 million units. 10.81 of those, we're during the holiday season, so it's a fucking incredible holiday season.
Yep.
And 3.24 million of those were the Switch Lite, with just about 2 million of those units coming from its launch period.
So it's like a total of just over 5 million for Switch Lite, which I think is a strong number for the 1 quarter that it's been available, basically.
No. So 3.24 million is the total sales. Just launch was 1.95.
Are you sure? Because I think I saw somewhere that it was 5 million lights.
Let me look at it right now. I'm pretty sure that's how it was phrased.
Looking it up.
You're right. You're 100% right. I'm wrong.
Fuck
Article says the mobile-only model, the Switch, contributed 3.24 million sales in the 3rd quarter. The Switch Lite currently sits at 5.19 million lifetime sales. So the launch was in the previous quarter. That was 1.95 million, and then the 2nd quarter it was available 3.24 million. So you're right. I'm wrong. Either way, it's doing well.
It's doing great.
Thanks, Chad. It's doing really well. I'm still actually surprised that the Big Boy Switch is doing better.
Is that longer battery life?
It's about even, actually. No, it's not. So it's about 30% of the total. Yeah. So it's a 70-30 split.
I mean, I was gonna get my niece a Switch Lite for her birthday. We talked about this months ago. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get her a Switch Lite for her birthday, but my brother's like, no, she loves playing it on the TV. Don't get her a Switch Lite. And I was like, oh, all right. I guess the TV is a big part of it. People want to dock their Switch.
I guess it's that when you look at the stats of most people like to play it in handheld mode. I guess hybrid's still the predominant way people play it, but docked was the least popular way of playing the Switch. So I kind of figured that maybe people would just say, I would just want to get a Switch as a handheld only. And I really thought that was going to be bigger than it turned out to be. I mean, it's still doing well. I'm not saying it's doing bad,
right.
But I was surprised. But there's that third tier that it's been rumored for a long time, but Nintendo just squashed that for 2020 at least. So they confirmed in that same investor call that there's no plan for any new Nintendo Switch hardware this year at all.
I feel like they said the same thing last year, and then we got the Lite. So I don't know. I don't know how much I believe.
They said last year there's no new upgrade.
Well, when they announced the Switch Lite, it was an upgrade in battery. Because that was before they announced the upgraded battery version of the Switch.
Okay, but would you ever really consider the Switch Lite it's called the Switch Lite. That does not sound like an upgrade.
It is in some ways an upgrade. It depends on how you play it.
Nintendo is usually very honest about this kind of stuff. They don't say things and do the opposite. They're usually pretty much true to their word on it. And this fits in with, like, the reason I was pretty certain that a Switch or something was happening last year with Switch is that they release new hardware generally every 2 years. I don't think they do a back-to-back. That's not usually what their cadence is. Like when you look at the 3DS, you look at the Game Boy lines, the DS lines, it was always about a 2-year period before a new piece of hardware would come out. I mean, going back to Game Boy Advance was 2001, and then 2003, I believe, the SP came out. And then actually, to break that, the DS was 2004, but then it was 2006 was the DS Lite, 2008 was the DSi, and it just kind of went on and on. Every 2 years, something new was coming out.
But now you got to have that home console refresh in there. When did they release the Nintendo Wii that was like the little mini version of it that didn't play discs? Yeah, how many years was that into it?
Right before the Wii U came out, so many, many years.
When did they release the Jungle Green version of the N64?
That doesn't count at all as an upgrade. Yeah, I'm.
The Jungle Green version came with the expansion pass and Donkey Kong 64, or the expansion expansion something. So that does count as an upgrade.
Sure, we're moving on. I think that at this point, if they were to release something in 2021 that is like a Switch Pro, as we talk about it nowadays, I feel like they're better off just making that the $299 Switch. Switch just now has, whatever it is, better screen, even better battery life, faster processor, all that kind of stuff. I feel like they just why have 3 tiers?
I'll cry 3 tiers.
I don't know.
3 done.
We'll
God, we have so many more stories left to get to.
Yeah, I know. So the Google Stadia subscribers, this is going to Google now. Google Stadia subscribers disappointed with the lack of new titles. So basically, on Stadia, users on the Stadia Reddit, people were complaining that there's been no new titles for the past 40 days. And then Google responded and said, "We have a lot more planned and will continue to work hard toward delighting gamers with our vision for Stadia. Looking at our upcoming lineup, we are tracking more than 120 games coming to Stadia in 2020 and are targeting more than 10 games in the first half of this year alone that will only be available on Stadia when they launch. We're working with our partners to share more on those games soon."
That 3-month trial is coming up quick, and I am so curious how their membership will drop off when that happens. It's like 2 weeks from now when everyone will finally have that.
And it's already not a very high membership to begin with.
Yep.
Here's what I think happened here. When the lineup for Stadia was shown off for its launch, people were complaining that it was too small, and then suddenly they added like double the amount of games.
Oh yeah, it went from like 12 to 20 or something like that, or 24.
Yeah. I'm sure those games were supposed to come out in this 40-day period where there's 40 years, the 40-day period where there's nothing. And I think they just said, fuck it, just put it, front load it, and we'll worry about it later. And then you combine that with the fact that basically there's just basically not a lot of games coming out until March 30th when Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing come out anyway.
Well, there are not a lot of games coming out, but there are still thousands of games in a backlog that they should have on Stadia as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Like they can put those out in those 40 days. I am not giving them any slack that they did not have enough partnerships lined up to support the service that they launched as a revolutionary streaming thing.
I'm thinking they might have been thinking, like, do we want our first few months to be nothing but just, hey, old game coming out. Hey, old game coming out. I think they might have wanted to avoid that, and that's hurting them. I don't know. I mean, even them saying that they have 10 games that are going to be in the first half of the year alone, like, why haven't you talked about that yet? I think that's the bigger problem for me is, like, just fucking say something's happening.
Yep.
Like, if you know that game is coming out in June, it's not like it's suddenly just going to disappear into the nether. But I'm saying, like, let's say you know it's coming out in June, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that game is going to disappear and become canceled by that point. It is far enough in development that it's happening. Just talk about it.
Right, but
just say,
I'm on your side,
yes.
If you've got something in the next 5 months, if you got 10 things in the next 5 months, why haven't we heard of any of them?
Yeah, they must be not interesting games.
They're all guilt.
They're all guilt. This is such a mess. I've seen a lot of stories of people saying, like, Google's already given up on Stadia. I don't think they gave up on Stadia. I just think they launched it way too early.
Yep.
It's a shame. I do think that a big part of maybe why we haven't heard about some of these upcoming games is that, at least in the last half of the year, there's probably some next-gen games they just simply can't talk about that are going to be coming to Stadia. I'm sure that's a factor as well, but again, like, to your point, like, old games. Like, why aren't there some old games? Like, I still, like, feel like I can see why they wouldn't want to just have old games. But just, I don't know, like, do something. I think front-loading it early on like that was a really bad idea. Just everything about Stadia feels reactionary. Like, they're just reacting as opposed to having a clear plan and sticking to it.
Yep.
Ugh.
You fucked. Moving on.
Third-party
quest log.
Third-party quest. So, to talk about another rumor we talked about last week, Resident Evil 8 protagonist, enemies, and more leaked.
Whoa.
This is from Dennis Patrick at GameRank. So there was, again, we talked last week about Resident Evil 8, but now they're saying that the protagonist of the game is going to be Ethan from Resident Evil 7. He'll be partnering, I guess, with Chris Redfield in the game. The first-person perspective is going to return, and there's going to be wolf and ghost-type creatures that will make an appearance. However, the person who said the leaks from last week tweeted out, this is Aesthetic Gamer, and he said, me and the people who were sharing the Resident Evil 8 rumor actually talked about this a few days ago. For the record, I am certain the RE8 that's being talked about, is not the final game and is probably what Capcom rebooted about a half a year ago. I think Capcom did a vertical slice test with. So this is basically what you said last week, which is that they probably were making this first person, you being you, Chad, so people who don't know who I'm talking about when I say you, that they were working on this first-person version of Resident Evil 8 and then saw the tremendous success from Resident Evil 2 and said, actually, let's do something else. And this kind of, like, fits right into that.
Yeah.
It seems.
Although I would love to see, like, ghost stuff and the wolf creatures. And, like, there was also the rumor that it was, like, in this icy, snowy area, too. It's like, that would be interesting to see Resident Evil 8 in. But, yeah, I do think that's based on this person's inside information that it was kind of canceled and rebooted a few months ago or a half a year ago.
Yeah.
I think that probably lines up.
And also that vertical test, that was also something that was rumored last year as well, that they had a vertical slice they wanted to show, like, Capcom fans.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. So that kind of fits into that too. So it could just be this guy's legit and he knows his stuff, or he just brought that rumor into his bullshit leak. I mean, who knows? I mean, no one would really know. It sounds about right to me, though.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the first-person perspective thing probably changed, but if they're bringing over assets in the reboot, which is pretty common, we'll probably still see the wolf and ghost-type creature stuff. It's possible. I know that what was it? There was a version of Resident Evil 4 that was being developed before the version we ended up getting that was much more similar to Resident Evil 3 with that same kind of style.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 was originally a Devil May Cry game, I think. Like, I think Devil May Cry...
the engine...
I think
the engine...
No, I think...
From,
or maybe it was Devil May Cry
was
Resident Evil 4, something like that.
No, so they took the engine they were working on with Resident Evil 4 that was basically using that like fixed camera angles, but then playing with how the camera could pan across and things like that. They ended up taking that and moving it into an action game style for Devil May Cry. But in that original build, there's actually a trailer for this. You can go on YouTube and see it. It exists. Like they showed this off at an event. Resident Evil 4 had Leon as a protagonist facing off against this ghost-type creature that chased you around the mansion with a hook hand. But it had like a very like it was more the style of Resident Evil 2 and 3 at the time. So they've done ghost stuff before, they never released it. So they might have had some ideas that they just haven't gotten a chance to work with yet. But I think it'd be cool, like a ghost type creature chasing you around.
Yeah.
Along with werewolves. Speaking of maybe not cool, maybe cool, I don't know.
Just not cool enough.
Atari planning construction of gaming hotels for U.S. locations. So they'll have hotels in 8 U.S. cities, which would be Phoenix, Austin, Chicago, Denver, Las Vegas, San Francisco, San Jose, and Seattle, which are some good cities to be in for this, what you're doing. The statement from the CEO of Atari says, "We are thrilled to partner with the GSD Group and True North Studio to build the first ever Atari-branded hotels across the United States. Together, we'll build a space that will be much more than just a place to stay. Atari is an iconic global brand that resonates with people of all ages, countries, cultures, and ethnic backgrounds, and we cannot wait for our fans and their families to enjoy this new hotel concept." Apparently, it's going to have like dedicated areas for gaming, for VR and AR setups, and then also just like esporting events, although it auto-corrected exporting events. That's kind of funny. These would accompany more like typical hotel offerings, such as like a hotel or like a gym or a restaurant or like a movie theater or something like that. So that sounds like a cool idea. Maybe we'll see how it kind of pans out.
Yeah.
Could be really fucking expensive.
Probably. I mean, obviously it's Atari just trying to grab money more elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how much I would care to play Space Invaders or Pac-Man or whatever the fuck they own still. That does not, like, going to a hotel themed around that is like, that'd be cool to like walk through as part of a tour, but I'm not going to stay there or pay a shit ton of money to stay at it.
Yeah, I also like when I think of going to a hotel, I just think of I'm staying at this hotel just so I can have some place to sleep, and then I go outside the hotel to do the cool stuff. And so this idea of a hotel that's got everything I need and I don't have to leave is kind of strange to me.
Yeah, why is the hotel the destination instead of wherever the city that you're going in?
Exactly.
Although it could be cool,
the building
like
itself.
The cities it's in,
cool.
However, like Austin and San Francisco, San Jose, Seattle, like they're very tech-based cities. I could see this as like, oh, you're there for a convention and like you're bored of shit and you're just there for some kind of work reason. And then finally when you come back that night, you can be like, cool, I'm going to hang out in the Pac-Man studio, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know.
Yeah. And there's some esporting potential there as well. I think that would be kind of cool to have an area like that dedicated for sporting events. I mean, obviously those people who are at the esporting event will probably need a place to sleep. So they got some money coming in that way. So it works. I get it, but I don't know if I would personally go. The next story I think is really interesting. Report Valve Index sales more than double amid Half-Life Alyx reveal. This is from Kyle Orland at Ars Technica. So there's a tracking firm, much like an NPD firm, called Superdata, and they reported that the total sales of the Valve Index was 46,000 and then jumped to 103,000. They suggest more could have been sold had Valve not sold out completely themselves. And then Oculus Quest also did really well. So they sold 317,000 units during the holiday season. And again, they had supply constraints. They probably could have sold more than that too. But what's interesting with the Quest is that 705,000 Quest units were sold since May, which is more than the Rift and Go combined. So clearly that's like where Oculus's VR is going to be heading in the future.
Yeah, that's what people
Of
want.
course, yep. Of course, none of this holds a candle to PSVR, which has 5 million units sold.
Ooh, yeah.
So they're doing really well. But that first part, though, that like right after Half-Life Alyx gets announced, the Valve Index sales start to shoot up.
Yeah, and it's 100% supply constraints that are holding it back because it immediately was sold out everywhere. Yeah. It's like I bet they were just kicking themselves like, damn it. Why couldn't we have made more of these things or waited to announce it before we could finally ramp up production?
What's cool too about this for Valve specifically is that I think this means that people want to play this the way Valve intended this game to be played, which is clearly what the Index is going to be doing. So that's a great sign for Valve. And this is kind of why I'm thinking that if Half-Life Alyx can meet that hype, this is going to be a revolutionary game for VR.
Yeah. I'm excited to never
really
play it, even though I want to, because I'm never going to own any of these things. But I'm excited for it to come out and take the world by storm.
I would be floored if it didn't come to PS5 and VR and PS5 specifically.
They did mention that like they're considering right now they're focused on PC VR, but that PSVR is definitely an option.
Yeah, I know that they don't have to necessarily worry about the sales because they make so much money off of Steam that they could make a risk like this and not make money off of Half-Life Alyx.
Yep.
But when you're looking at PSVR having 5 million units compared to your 103,000, it just seems like a no-brainer that you'd have to go for PSVR, especially when, sure, those PSVR units are on PS4, which I just can't imagine Half-Life Alyx being capable of running on that system. But those players who have a PSVR are going to get a PS5. Those are the people who are shoo-ins for the PS5.
Right.
So basically, I think it's safe to assume that 5 million units of PSVR will be able to run Half-Life Alyx on a PS5. I just feel like they would have to. I feel like they have to make that choice.
They have to.
We'll see.
They got to.
And the last thing in our quest log,
Woo!
E3 2020 looks to shake things up following press leaks and repeat Sony absence. Eric Van Allen at US Gamer. So the ESA is teamed up with I Am 8-Bit to, quote, reinvigorate and show and, frankly, shake things up. The statement from ESA says that we will be showcasing E3 to the world through new streaming and digital programming while creating gatherings on the show floor that let people do what they love the most, play and celebrate games. The statement reads, It advertises surprises. What the fuck?
I think you're just supposed to say surprise guests, stage appearances, insiders, and experiential zones that delight the senses.
It's just that is very oddly phrased. It advertises surprises guests. So it just says surprise guests, but I copy and paste that from the article. That's a typo in the article. Surprise guests, stage experiences, insiders, and experiential zones that delight.
Maybe it was supposed to say surprised guests. There will be surprised guests there. Oh my gosh, I didn't expect that.
Oh my gosh, that something to note thing was supposed to be on the Google article. I don't know why that ended up there. Anyway, so yeah, this is a good sign for us because we are going to E3.
We are
this year, and we were going to go last year, and then I held us back there. And basically, one of the reasons was
back in
I think
school.
this year's going to be more exciting.
But yeah, this year,
and
there will be some Series X there. You know, there has to be, even if it's behind closed doors. We got to find a way to break in.
We'll just steal Greg Miller's pass. Be like, yeah, we're Greg Miller. Yeah. We can get
kicked out again.
Next gen goodness. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I would like to see what E3 is going to turn into because E3 is a special place in my heart. Just from loving, even when I couldn't play games as a kid growing up because I just didn't have access to them or something like that. I loved just seeing what new games are coming out, and E3 was the greatest week ever. I remember seeing the Twilight Princess footage at E3 for the first time back in 2005, and it just blew my mind. Loved that so much, and I get to go, and it sounds like it's going to be a really interesting E3. I'm very excited now.
Yep,
I'm hyped.
I just hope tickets don't sell out too quickly. We got to get them.
You got to get them. Okay, let's move to our main quest, which I think actually might be a pretty short one. So, China's impact on next-gen consoles continues. 3 stories here. I'll go through them pretty quickly. So Nintendo, the coronavirus will have impact on Nintendo Switch production. So they basically said that they've already noticed that there's a impact on the production of Nintendo Switch because of the virus. The coronavirus fears have forced organizers to cancel the Taipei Game Show, which is another thing that's kind of happening as a result of all the turmoil in China right now. And then lastly, the next-gen consoles are already going to cost enough without trade tariffs. So there was kind of talk about the trade tariffs between anything being made in China coming to the U.S. would have a 25% tariff on it coming in, which everyone's worried that's going to impact the next-gen game consoles. That's not a concern anymore,
right?
Because they've taken those tariffs off the table, which is a great sign. But at the same time, now we have the coronavirus, and like, how much is that going to impact the targeted price of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X?
I don't know how much it is about price, more so than maybe delaying the launch of these things. Not by a significant amount, probably, as they can find alternate suppliers, but tech companies left and right are suspending travel. They are shutting down factories and office buildings and retail stores all over China right now. And yes, like there are huge tech companies saying, we are actively, like 90-something% of our stuff comes from China. We are figuring out right now other resources, places we can go and have them kind of pick up the slack. But it's going to take a while for them to start ramping that up and meet the demand that's coming from this sudden halt thanks to this coronavirus.
I hadn't considered actually a delay. And I think for me that would be very surprising because it's not just releasing a new phone. It's releasing a new box that is reliant on software coming out in time for that. And if you said, well, we have this plan for the first year of the PS5 where games are going to come out in this period, and all of a sudden you got to condense the first 3 months into a single week, or like whatever ends up happening, that could be really bad for some of that software coming out at that time. Kind of like the opposite of the problem that Stadia is having, where they put all of it front-loaded really quickly, then nothing for a few weeks. It would be way too much in a short period of time. That could impact with agreements that they have with different developers or third parties. Like, I don't know, like what could happen there. They might try to develop or manufacture the console outside of China, but that might be too late to do that. So I think, like, if anything, I don't know if the price would increase because consoles have a history of eating the cost in the beginning.
Right.
But it could really limit the supply.
100%. I'm not as convinced that there's going to be really any kind of like software implication because gaming until the last couple of years has never been in China. Or if it was in China, it's only Chinese game console manufacturers and Chinese game companies. So like anyone who's making software for these consoles is either doing it in the US or Japan or Europe or things like that. So I'm seeing this more of like as a hardware constraint, and this is anyone doing R&D on hardware and things like that are going to be impacted the most coming out of this.
That's not what I'm saying though with the software. What I'm saying with the software is that they'll have agreements with third parties. Like if EA is going to release a game, right, and they know that PS5's already been out at this. Let's say it's supposed to come out in November. Like right now, without coronavirus, it's supposed to come out in November. But then they delay and say, hey, it's actually going to come out in March. Well, EA wanted to have this game come out in February for the PS5. Now they have to delay that PS5 game because it cannot come out in February if there's no box like for it. And that could really hurt some of those relationships. Not like relationships, but it could really hurt some of the plans that these companies already have. Especially, again, like, does EA want to release a game in that opening week of March because they can do that because it's supposed to come out in February? But when they do release in March, now they're competing against all the games that would have come out between November and March. And that's going to hurt like what they would get in return on investment because now there's an increase in competition between software titles that they couldn't have anticipated. That could be really damaging for the beginning of this generation.
You know, now that you say that, because of that, I don't think that's something that Sony or Microsoft would allow to happen. If they had a hardware projection plan like this is going to launch on these dates, and so many other companies' bottom lines are depending on it, I think it's much more likely that we just see an incredibly constrained supply right at launch, like along the lines of the Wii. Like the Wii was infamous for the entire first year you could not get your hands on a Wii console, And
Oh, yeah.
that might be the case that we see because of depending on how long this epidemic lasts.
Yeah.
There's
And
officially been a
how
case, by the way, in the Bay Area. There's now one person with coronavirus somewhere within a 30-mile radius of me, and I'm going to die.
There's someone in Massachusetts now as well. There's like 8 cases in the U.S. now, something like that. Just to quell people's fears, there was something called SARS in 2003. That was so. First of all, coronavirus. Coronavirus is actually a very standard term. It just means a series of viruses that come from a specific RNA strand.
Which is
Coronavirus
ribonucleic acids.
Yes. This specific strain of coronavirus, we've already contended with things that are more serious and more dire. Not that this isn't dire, but like we've been here before and the world has been fine. So like we might even be able to take care of this before like it becomes a huge problem that it would have these kind of impacts. But of course, wouldn't be surprised if Sony and Microsoft are having these discussions with Foxconn or whoever is producing right now to figure this out. Luckily, if they are working with Foxconn has factories in America. They have factories in Taiwan, although Taiwan's pretty close to China, so that might still be not great bet, but it's better than being in mainland. This is going to be something that's going to unfold over the next few months, over the next year. Definitely is going to have an impact. We're just going to have to see what it's going to be. But I think the supply constraint is the most likely. So if you want a PS5, get that moolah ready.
Oh, get that moolah ready. Get that
soon.
Pre-order as soon as it's announced.
Yeah.
And don't do it through Amazon because they'll fuck you over. So.
Yeah. That is all the news stories we have. That was a lot.
Ooh, that was a lot. And we have got to zoom through this Game on Game show because I've never had to pee more in my entire life. Welcome to Game on Game Show, the Game on Gaming show where you can play a game called Game on Game Show, Game. This week we have a returning segment of the one and only video game Would You Rather. Holden, we've got 3 scenarios that we have to choose between the lesser of 2 evils or maybe the better of 2 Grady's. That's the opposite of evils is Grady's. I'm going to give you one. Well, they're going to start as they normally do with like a tame discussion and then go to weird and crazy. Number 1, would you rather that for all of 2020 you either get 3 non-consecutive months of Xbox Game Pass, and that's all the games you can play are those 3 months. They don't have to be back-to-back of Game Pass. Or you only get to play 3 AAA games on PlayStation 4. So do you want all the offerings of Game Pass for 3 months, or do you only want to play 3 big-budget games on PlayStation 4? They don't have to be first-party, but they can be.
This is really tough.
It is tough.
Because like on one hand, you have Game Pass, which is like, oh, cool. I can experiment with different types of games and see some unique stuff. But then on the other hand, I have like Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077.
And Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, like lots of really great games. Resident Evil 3 would be in there. Final Fantasy 7 would be in there. I'd have to pick 3, but I feel like I'd have 3 really good games.
Yep. And none of those games are coming to Game Pass.
And exactly.
Well, at least probably this year.
Yeah. I'd be
well, the only one that would be eligible would be Cyberpunk. So
I'd be amazed if that came, because it's like, I guess The Witcher did, but I mean, years after
exactly
its release.
I would go
this one over, Chad. What would you do?
I would go the 3 AAA games on PlayStation 4, because here's the thing: I've already had Game Pass off and on for the last year and a half ish, or however long it's been out. I've had it off and on, and I've only played still a handful of games on it. And yes, they do have AAA games that eventually make their way there, and anything Microsoft first party, which for this year again still looks kind of anemic, would be on there, but. I think the games that I'm looking forward to playing most this year are Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, Cyberpunk a little bit. Like, those are the things that when I think about video games in 2020, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking of, man, it'd be nice to play Banjo-Tooie on Xbox Game Pass. If I were to do it, though, if I were to go the Game Pass route, I would probably do, like, 3 months in February to catch up on backlog of all these kind of things that I wanted to do. Maybe 3 months in June, so I get whatever's announced at E3, and then 3 months like in November, so I can catch whatever all the big stuff that they would have had out for that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3 AAA on PlayStation 4 though. That's my route.
I'm gonna take Game Pass, and here's why. Yes, I'm gonna be upset because I'm gonna miss The Last of Us Part 2. I'm gonna miss Cyberpunk. I'm gonna miss I'm gonna miss these games I'm so excited for. But here's the thing. There are so many games in the backlog of Game Pass that I wouldn't be bored. I wouldn't be upset. And when I do finally get to play Cyberpunk and Last of Us Part 2 and all these games in 2021, I'll be playing it on a delicious PlayStation 5.
Oh, it's going to be so delicious.
So delicious that the wait will be worth it. Especially Cyberpunk, where can't wait for that game. And I'm so excited for that game. Beyond the moon excited about that game. But a little part of me also says that game could be a little bit of a mess when it first comes out. It might need a little while to work the kinks out. Wouldn't be surprised. And considering that delay, even more of a reason not to be surprised about that maybe happening. So yeah, I think I'll actually take the Game Pass route and then just really enjoy those games in 2021 when they're super polished and running beautifully in 8K 120 frames per second or whatever ends up happening next gen consoles with ray tracing and all that shit
on your 720
on a
TV.
PS5. No, I have my 4K monitor.
Oh, that's right. You got your monitor.
Yeah.
Number 2,
awful television that hurts my eyes and makes them bleed.
Number 2, would you rather have Charizard wings, but also your butt sets things on fire, or have a Diddy Kong tail that allows you to hang, swing, and parkour with amazing agility, but you also have to be dressed like Diddy Kong all day, every day? For reference,
I'm not a very. This is easy for me. I'm not a really big fashion person.
Diddy Kong only wears a t-shirt and a hat.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah, I couldn't wear underwear.
No underwear, no pants, no socks, no shoes.
No service. I couldn't buy anything.
No. Well, you have a shirt, so you could buy like half of whatever you wanted.
That's how that rule works.
But you can be super agile. You can swing. You can parkour. You can hang by your tail. You just got to show your dick and butt all the time. And really, his shirt's like a half of a shirt, so also your belly button and below.
Now, if I were Diddy Kong, like just actually like it was I could be Diddy Kong, I would be worried about it because I wouldn't have any shit flaunting around.
No, you just got his tail. That's it.
Yeah,
his tail and his clothes. But then you also have Charizard.
But then if I'm Charizard, I'm gonna light my butt on fire.
Exactly. You can't sit on chairs that are made of wood or cloth. You have to sleep on your stomach in bed. Can't drive a car, but you wouldn't need to because you have wings. You can fucking fly.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking about. I think about like sitting and standing are two different states. I get tired of one, I do the other. And with Charizard, it'd just be like the two states are standing and flying.
Yep, or laying on your stomach.
So it's like so I get tired of one, I just do the other. I'll take that one. I'll do Charizard.
Yeah. Well, also think about this. You could never go to like E3 because your butt is a fire hazard and you can't be packed in a room with 90,000 people because your butt's going to burn everybody.
I'll just tell it's cosplay. It's not real.
Don't touch it, though.
Cosplay.
I spent a lot of money making it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't touch it. It's expensive.
Yeah, I would 100% do the Charizard wings. And then just like go camping all the time and you wouldn't need fire starters. You can just sit on a pile of sticks and...
Plus, I feel like there's a really, really strong chance that if I'm the Diddy Kong with the tail and everything, and the pee-pee dangling all over the place, I'd have to, whenever I move, go to everyone in the neighborhood and be like, "Hi, I chose to be Diddy Kong. Now I'm a registered sex offender." I feel like that would likely happen, and I don't want that to happen. That'd be kind of shitty.
Our final video game, would you
Someone
rather?
would complain.
I want you to start this one. Think about Street Fighter. I want you to close your eyes.
I'm not going to close them.
Okay, keep your eyes as wide as you can open them. Think about Street Fighter. And I want you to picture Blanca from Street Fighter.
I don't know who that is. I'm going to look him up right now.
All right, open your eyes as wide as you can and stare at your phone as you Google Blanca from Street Fighter. Blanca, I think, is Blanka. He's the green guy with the red hair, electric. He's kind of a beast, like literal beast, not like a dude in beast mode. Yeah. So you've got Blanca. Yep. Would you rather look like Blanca permanently? You look exactly like him. The crazy-ass red hair that looks like a lion's mane, the green skin, the jaw that makes you look like a fucking, like, literally a beast.
Odd hair patches on your body.
Yep.
Very oddly placed.
Yep. But also, about 1 in every 200 people also look like Blanca. So there's a chance you'll find love that looks just like you. You're not an anomaly. Like, it's kind of a normal accepted thing. Or would you rather look exactly like yourself, but you just have a Blanca dick? Which means that it is a green throbby wiener with permanent red hair around it. And it's the kind that even if you trim it or shave it, it's like Harry Potter. It'll grow back exactly the same just moments later. But you're the only person in the world that has this weird, crazy-ass Blanca dick.
That's an easy one. I'm going to have the Blanca dick if I'm Blanca anyway, right?
Yeah. But it'll, like, Blanca dicks won't be weird. They're going to be like uncircumcised penises to U.S. people. We're like, they're weird to us, but to everyone else in the world, it's like, oh, that's what a dick looks like.
That's fine by me. I'll take that one.
So you're going to be Blanca with a Blanca dick, or you with a Blanca dick?
Yeah. Blanca with a Blanca dick.
All right. I'm going to go me with a Blanca dick. Because I feel like I'm not attracted to Blanca. I'm probably not going to be attracted to women who look like Blanca. And I feel like people who I'm attracted to are not going to be attracted to me as Blanca. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life lonely, even though that my dick is like 1 in 200. We've got a 1 in 200 dick.
Some people are into some freaky shit.
Yeah.
You know that.
But maybe
And
that's not the type of person I want.
I'll put it this is why I'm thinking I want to be Blanca, right?
Okay.
Because, like, you're you, right? And no one even knows that Blanca dicks are even a thing. And you have a great night with this lovely gal.
Yep.
And you go back to your place. You take your pants off. She sees your Blanca pee-pee. And she goes, what the fuck is that? That's fucked up. And
like,
then it's it.
Just
it's
tell
over.
her. Just tell her it's cosplay. It's a tattoo or something. Like it's.
But it can have the ability to become uppercase. So it's not exactly.
But she also looks
cosplay.
at it, and it is a big throbbing wiener, and she's like, "Ooh, that's weird," but also that could be exciting. Like that could rock my world.
Some might react that way, but like you're running this gamble. Whereas when you're Blanca and you have Blanca dick, it's like, yeah, Blanca has Blanca dick. Like there's not like a lot of like surprise there that would like ruin the moment.
You're right. Well, the thing that would ruin the moment for me is that me with a Blanca dick as a Blanca person is fucking a Blanca looking person too. I don't want to fuck a Blanca looking person. That's going to ruin the moment for me.
I mean, here's the thing though, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you grew up as a Blanca, right, in this scenario.
What a stupid word, Blanca.
You grew up as a Blanca, which means that like you're probably going to be attracted to other Blancas because you grew up as a Blanca. You're thinking too much of your current state right now. You got to expand your mind and imagine a world of Blancas.
Like I'm a Shrek attracted to Princess What's-Her-Fuck. And her real form is actually a Shrek
Princess
girl.
Fiona.
Fiona, that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He's kind of attracted to the princess, but then whenever she becomes the ogre, he's like, oh my god, I want to put my Blanca dick in you. Okay, I see it. However, I do think just me with a Blanca dick, I think is the way to go. Because people are going to be like, oh my god, can I ride that? Like, get a girl drunk enough and she'll be like, oh my god, that's kind of like it could be exciting.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
I don't condone that.
Luckily, you don't have to because it's not real. That's been Game On Game Show. The Game On Our Game Show where we play a game called Game On a game show, and it's a game. And that's it for our podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you are listening and you say, I like those guys so much that I want to help them prepare for E3, you can do that by going to patreon.com/respawnaimfire and pledging $1 or more. That gets you the ability to play with us on game nights, which are normally Thursday nights. The ability to influence what we play each month with our BARF game, Backlog Accomplishment with Respawn and Friends. However, you don't have to be a patron to play along with us. And Holden, what are we playing this month of February?
Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo motherfucking Kazooie! Jinjo! That's Banjo-Kazooie in a nutshell for you.
I'm not interested to play this game at all anymore. That's what it is.
So yes, if you are playing Banjo-Kazooie with us this month, we want to know about it. Whether you are tweeting saying, hi, I'm playing this, or whether you're tweeting us your thoughts, DMing us, respawnaimfire@gmail.com. Email us your thoughts at the end of the month so that we can read them out and all kind of have a big group asynchronous discussion about it. That would be dope. And then you also get wallpapers. I just put out this month's wallpaper, and I think it's my favorite one since the one that we released where it was like Respawning Fire with the angular. Oh, fuck my ass. Sorry, I just hit my microphone.
Since it was the one to fuck my ass, that wallpaper was great.
Yeah, the wallpaper of some dude fucking my ass. That's the best wallpaper we've ever done. No, with the angled colors. Penis. It says Respawning Fire. Here's the thing. Dusty... I couldn't think of an E word. Elimination. Dusty Elimination Hill. Even after we released a bunch of different wallpapers, you remember the angled one with the colors? Mm-hmm. I was in the car with him, and he was doing something on his phone. I was like, "Oh, dude, nice wallpaper." He's like, "Yeah, I know you've released a lot more, but this is still my favorite one." Guess who was the first one to tweet us that he put this new wallpaper on his phone?
Ooh.
Yep. So it's a dope one. Go to patreon.com/respawnaimfire. You can get that one and all the others we ever released. Now I've got to go pee like a hydrated giraffe. All right, everyone. Until next time.
Giraffes aren't real. That's not a thing.
You're right. Like a hydrated robotic giraffe. Until next time.
Exactly.
Here's our usual sign off.
I also would have accepted giraffe-shaped government drones. That also would have been accepted.
Yes, or giraffe-shaped chicken nuggets.
Yes.
Like dinosaurs, but they're giraffes. Okay, bye, everybody.